Good evening and welcome to Lee's Feed, where the truth meets the mic. How about that? Where the truth meets the mic. And that's what we're going to be doing
I,
today. We're going to
I
be
like it.
the ongoing situation with DEI and affirmative action and civil rights. And I have with me today Mr. Jackson. I'm going to let Mr. Jackson give a little brief bio of himself so we can get started. Then we'll talk to McCall.
Good evening, Lee, and I'm happy to be here. As Lee says, my name is David Jackson, and I'm the spokesperson for the African American Business and Contractors Association, located in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay. The genesis of APCA, how long has APCA been in existence and how did it get started?
What?
APCA has.
Go ahead, Dave.
You can go ahead.
Okay, I've got a little longer history on that. My name is Mikhail Ali, the president of APCA. APCA now has been in existence about 10 years, maybe a little longer, but we've been sort of on the road for the last 10 years. And we came about when we were a little frustrated with other organizations that were supposed to be helping Black contractors, but we weren't getting any results. So we decided to move out on our own. And the problem I think we were having with other organizations is that they were headed by people who weren't contractors. And there became a great conflict because they didn't understand our pain. They didn't understand what we go through to meet payroll every week. This is not nothing against them. They probably were sincere, but you could be sincere, but if you don't know the mission and what it requires in the mission, then you're not really a great help. We have a slogan: "It's for by the contractors for the contractors." Everybody that's on the board is and has been a contractor, so we understand the pain. So that's it in a nutshell. We will no longer let anybody speak for us, no politician, no religious leader, no one but contractors. So that's that in a nutshell, Lee.
Here's something that I always thought about. Um, I was the District 8 Southern Illinois EEO officer for IDOT, and I oversaw about $1 billion worth of work every year with reference to minority participation. And we encountered some groups also, such as yourself. And what I found out, and it may not be true in all aspects, but if a contractor was advocating for contractors, there was a threat that the powers that be would buy off that contractor and he would sell out the whole group. What do you say to that? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I just understand clearly that can happen on both sides of the fence. A non-contractor speaking for you and a contractor speaking for you. It takes to be sure you got a one with integrity.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's in my experience. And pick your leader wisely, not off a great emotional speech, and somebody who's been in the trenches.
Mhm.
And here's the thing: we don't give anybody a whole lot of leverage. Nobody goes to a meeting by themselves, you know, because you don't have checks and balances on human beings, temptation can creep in and it can act upon the temptation.
I hear you.
I remember once, a couple of times, white guy asked me to come to his country club. Uh, so I don't do the country club, and I don't go nowhere by myself. So he started telling me who all he had at the country club before. You know, I said, well, that's on them, man. But I no, that don't work here. So that's the thing. You have to, even with your leaders. A lot of times, leaders don't have the people putting checks and balances on them, Lee.
Mhm.
And that's our fault.
But I got a philosophy, and I know there are different approaches. Why is it that Black people always feel that they need a leader? Like when something goes down, they'll say, "What is Al Sharpton doing? Uh, what's the attorney name that gets all these cases? What's his name?
Crump,
Huh?
Yeah, Crump, Crump.
crump,
What is Trump doing?
crump.
Okay,
Yeah.
but who is the Jewish leader on a local level? Who's the Hispanic leader on a local level? They don't have leaders like that. They have a philosophy throughout their community that supports their best interest in every aspect of life: economics, race, uh, gender, the whole nine. But the Black community always feel that they need a leader, and when they assassinate that leader, they bow to that leader, then the movement goes into turmoil. What do you?
Let me give you my take on that,
Okay.
Lee, because this came up during the riots out there in Ferguson when Michael Brown was killed by the police. St. Louis, and I can only speak about St. Louis because that's where I'm living, and I've lived here all my life with the exception of joining the military. But St. Louis hasn't had a Black leader in quite a long time. What frustrated Black folks that I've heard from here in the city is these so-called leaders calling themselves leaders, letting the white community believe that they speak and hear for the Black community. And that isn't true. We got organizations like the Black Leadership Roundtable. We don't know who those folks are. We don't know how they got the title. We don't know what their goal is. They never talk to me, so they can't speak to me on anything because they don't represent me. And then you had the Black clergy that couldn't even stay together. They went three separate ways because they couldn't get along.
The clergy.
And yeah, the Black clergy. There are three fractions of them now here in St. Louis. So, I wrote a piece in the paper a while back about St. Louis leaderless and wandering. And that's what we're doing. We do not have a leader in the city of St. Louis, a Black leader,
Do we need
not in my opinion.
Do we need one? What about educating the community? So, for instance, we had 20% of Black men vote for Trump. They couldn't have understood the message. They weren't educated. We're not educating our people. The 80% that Black men that did vote for Trump, they understood the mission. The 92% of Black women understood. But there was 18% of Black women who didn't understand that Trump is an avowed racist, and they voted against their own interests. So I think we need a campaign, and I'd like to get you guys' take on it. There should be an outright full court press on educating our people because we've lost it.
And Lee, let me add to that because we just had this conversation, and it's crazy because we have one of the most recognized Black newspapers in the city. It's recognized all over the country, the St. Louis American, and their creed was to be the Black voice and ears of the Black community. But if you look and read that paper, number one, it's got so much advertising in it, it ain't funny. Number two, it's an opinionated paper that steers you in a direction that they want you to be in. And so there's no more. You see, the number one issue in St. Louis right now is crime. That paper don't talk about that. That paper don't display that. Number two is education. The paper don't talk about that. The paper don't display what's happening with our education system. And so we're we're
What are they
we're
talking?
wondering leaders.
What are they talking about?
Everything but, they're talking about awards dinners. They're talking about giving folks recognition for this, recognition for that. Just in my opinion, just
Like
crap.
a type paper, socialite.
Yeah. Yeah, socialite. That's what the paper is turning into. I mean, with color pictures. They love the parties. They love the dinners. And they load the paper up with those color pictures showing that. And that's sad. And it's like you said, and that's one of the reasons on my Facebook page, only thing I put on there is information for the Black community. Nobody else. But guess what? Every news channel is on there. Every newspaper is on there. Every politician is on there because a lot of that information they're getting is coming from my Facebook page because I don't mind putting it on there. I don't mind calling a spade a spade. I don't mind pointing the fingers where their fingers need to be pointed. Just like we were talking earlier with the Black contractors. It's amazing how many churches start building apartment buildings or apartment communities and even their sanctuaries, and only Caucasian contractors were building it. They forgot all about the Black contractors. We have Black contractors that do that work.
Why didn't the Black contractor make them remember them? Sometimes you have to shut them down too.
Well, we did.
You do.
We go ahead. I'm sorry, Dave.
No. Go ahead. You know more. You go right ahead.
Yeah, we had to go after Friendly Temple, one of the biggest over there. He had white contractor, HBD, and see, that's another thing. Our people are scared to check misguided leadership. And I want to go back to why do we feel we have to have a D leader? Malcolm talked about it in Message to the Grassroots, the house Negro and the field Negro. But Master taught us that we have to have a D leader. So when they move on that leader, the whole mission dies. We were never taught how it could be a table with everybody being in leadership and vote and discuss it, just like with Africa. And I tell them clearly, I'm not the leader of Africa. I'm just the rudder of the ship. I just try to keep us on course. Is that what I say, Dave?
Yes.
Yeah. And Dave could jump in and be the rudder of the ship. And we vote on things. So we were trained to go on into the emotion of picking a leader. So look what happened to us when King died in the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement died. We haven't matured to the fact that strong-minded, with strong will, people can sit down together and vote on it. Mm-hmm. We refuse. Everybody want to be the rooster in the hen house. And as long as we keep doing that, Lee, they laughing at us. Because most of these leaders we got are so-called leaders, white folks own them. Cut and dry.
We're the only one that got leaders. No Hispanic leaders you can speak of. And
we're the only one. That's right. We're the only one. And that's the only one.
Who's the leader? Who's the leader? I mean, they don't have leaders like that. And here we are doing the same thing we've done centuries ago. And we need to get out of that. We need to train our young people. One of the things, my biggest pet peeve is that these young people have no respect or understanding as to how they got to work at that department store or to go to that college.
Right.
Or to get that job. Look at the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I went across that thing a few years back. That's where it started way before then. But we're standing on the shoulders of our ancestors who gave their lives for us. But we have not been effective in bringing that same momentum down to our young people. They have no respect for us. They have no sympathy or caring about how they got to where they are today.
That's true. Yes.
Let me give you an example. We had the Little Rock 9 incident back in 57. Okay. And then something very where it happened in East St. Louis, Illinois in 1965. Guess what? The same thing happened at a school called Lansdowne Junior High in East St. Louis at 39 Caseville Avenue. But it was 12 black kids who had to integrate that neighborhood and the school.
Mm.
And you're looking at one of them. Just 7 years after Little Rock, 5 or 7 years after Little Rock, all of us, 12 years old, under 100 pounds, had to go into that fray. So guess what? They've got a Lansdowne Association on Facebook. So I said, oh, guess what? I'm one of the founding students who integrated that school. I've got information. Do you need to know the history? Nobody responded for almost a year. So I did it again about a month ago, and a young man responded. He said, I'd like to know the history. I said, give me a call. Know what he said?
What?
Text the information to me.
Yeah.
Like hell I will. There's
Yeah.
nothing more important than a verbal conversation. Chat, text, email, they are very appropriate in certain situations. But there's nothing better than a verbal conversation.
No, that's right.
So I'm not going to text them anything. I offer them the information. So I'm going to take out my time and text them about a 60-year history. That was in 65. We're 60 years after that. I've got the information, and some of us have died, those out of that 12. Some's got Alzheimer's and other diseases. So we're going to try to do something to make sure that people know a little bit more about that incident, because it didn't get the notoriety as Little Rock did in 57, but it happened in East St. Louis, Illinois.
Yeah.
But let me ask you guys a question. We know we need to educate our people. And one of the things we need to educate our people about is the meaning of things. What is the meaning of civil rights versus affirmative action? We need to understand. What about DEI? What does those terms mean? And we're getting them mixed up, or we don't understand it, or we're conflating them. What's your take on that?
Dave, that's your lane. Go ahead.
I think it's all the same. In my opinion, I get a little upset and perturbed at why do we have to always follow what the Caucasian says it is? When they used to call us niggers, then they changed that to coloreds, then they changed that to Negro, and we were accepting that language, that we were using that language ourselves. It's almost like when they came up with this DEI came from the 1968 Civil Rights Housing Act for affirmative action. That's what DEI is, affirmative action for all three entities. But we just let them call it DEI and move away from the law. And the law says that we must recognize and not discriminate based on race, creed, religion, handicap. That's a law. It's not a president executive order or a mayor's executive order or a governor executive order. Affirmative action is a law. And the only way it can be ignored or changed is through the courts.
Now, I got to disagree with you on that. DEI is a policy, and it's not a law, and based on my research. And I think we conflate civil rights with affirmative action. Everyone has civil rights. Everyone. And you can't discriminate based on those factors that you talked about. But what if
But Lee, remember, Lee, now, I'm not disagreeing with you that DEI is policy, but it's all related to affirmative action, which is a law.
Now, affirmative action.
We don't need, if we follow the law, we'll have DEI.
Here's
That's
what we
one
gotta
of the
do.
reasons the president signed it. That's one of the reasons governors sign it, is to enforce DEI. It's a backup to the law. It's
Well,
ensuring that the government is following the law.
law is civil rights. Affirmative action is something that you do if those rights are violated. But it was only in Executive Order 11246 with reference to federal jobs. Okay, so we got to make sure if we go fight this fight, even in courts, we got to make sure we understand, because Trump did not abolish. He couldn't abolish civil rights. He didn't do that in this new
No.
Executive Order 13771.
Or affirmative action. He
Now,
can't abolish that.
yes, he did. He about affirmative action is
What he did was rescinded the order. But what I'm saying is affirmative action is a law intertwined with the 1968 Housing Act.
okay. I understand what you're saying, but I disagree.
Okay.
I think civil
Okay.
rights are the rights of every American, and you can't discriminate based on those factors. I agree with that. Okay. But when it comes to taking steps to mitigate those, that's called affirmative action. And that is not a statute. It was only an executive order by Johnson in 11246, which Trump just abolished. You know what Trump did in his new executive order? He didn't touch civil rights. He didn't
No.
touch it. What he did, though, was made it race neutral and race and gender neutral. So we were taking affirmative action steps under 11246. There were 16 affirmative action steps that a vendor or a contractor would have to satisfy to get a waiver with reference to not having the requisite number of blacks, the 7 protected classes, plus females. And that's what affirmative action did, under 11246. And what Trump did was he said, I'm not going to touch the DBE program, which is a statute. I agree, 1983. And he didn't touch civil rights. What he did was he said, this is a merit-based community now. There's no such thing as racism. Everything is neutral, race neutral, gender neutral. So there it is. So he abolished the 16 affirmative action steps. And that's what we have to fight from now. He's saying that, well, if there's no discrimination based on race or gender, where's the discrimination with these indigent people or these disadvantaged businesses? So it has to be economics. And that's where we have to come together as a group of people and understand what that executive order revocation means, so that we go to court, we know where to fight. We need to know who and what to fight. And what we need to fight is he's taking away, his executive order can stand just like Johnson's did for 60 years until the next president comes in and take it out. It's going to be there. We can't move it. And it has not been proven to be unconstitutional, because Johnson did it for 60 years, 11246. Now he's got 13771. So what is the fight about? Basically, they're saying that you can still violate a person's civil rights, but guess what? Based on what? And that's what we're going to have to come to the conclusion as to how we fight what Trump just did. And I'm having a problem with a lot of leaders. I talked to different groups and talked to a contracting group just the other day, about 2 weeks ago. And they didn't want to conflate DEI, which I agree with, the DBE program, which are two different things. DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's a policy. It works. Everything is better when you do that. But I don't know where it's codified in any statute or amendment or article in the Constitution. But the Executive Order 11246 was an executive order, and it's just as relevant and powerful as when Johnson did it. That the revocation of it is. Now, it's revocated. Trump said, the hell with it. And you don't get a leg up because you're a female or because you're black, that you're Native American or you whatever. So we need to come to the conclusion, we need to get together and figure out how we're going to fight it. And I think it's going to be based on, well, I'm a disadvantaged business, whether I'm female, black, or whatever. And how did I become disadvantaged? Well, the society systemically has been against the upward mobility financially of these groups. And I think that's where the fight is. Tell me if I'm wrong. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you. I think that is where it's at. But you know, let's hear from Mikhail, who's been out here doing it way longer than I have.
To be honest, all these initials shouldn't be even in place if we have been treated like Americans. No taxation without proper representation. We should be getting our fair share down the line, because every time they set up a program, it's just a time clock on it. Eventually, they're going to cut it. So here come Trump and cut it. Just like the Voting Rights Act. Even if either we're Americans or we're not Americans. And we got to treat ourselves like America. That means we have to do whatever it takes and say we're going to get our fair share of the federal dollars, of the state dollars, of the city dollars, or don't nothing happens. Now, the problem is our people want to take it to the court. Now, at work back in the 60s, but in this day and time, with Trump's court, the decks are stacked against us. Not all of them, but enough of them. But we got to start feeling in our spirit that we are Americans. I deserve what he gets, or should nobody get it? Now, are we ready for that?
Mm-hmm. But I still think we take it to the courts to make an official filing, but I do think we do other things. I put this document up here, and this is part of what Trump has done. There's an office similar to the EEOC. This is called the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Program, OFCCP. That's the office in the U.S. Labor Department that was responsible for overseeing discrimination with reference to race and gender. Look what he did. On January 21st, the White House and President Donald Trump issued an executive order ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity, which revoked Executive Order 11246 for 90 days from the date of this order. In April the 21st, no more affirmative action. The Office of Federal Contract Compliance Program shall immediately cease promoting diversity, holding contractors and subcontractors responsible for taking affirmative action, and allowing or encouraging federal contractors and subcontractors to engage in workforce balancing based on race, color, sex, sexual preference, religion, or national origin. That's powerful, man.
Yeah, very powerful.
That's the affirmative action right there. Okay? So Trump, for all intents and purposes, with this new executive order, this so-called merit-based executive order, he's basically taking that away. Okay? So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Taking it away.
That's a good question, Lee. See, but here's what it's doing. It's got us living in fear. And we've always lived in fear. If the wrong governor comes in, sign an executive order on this, the wrong mayor comes in and signs this, no other ethnic groups live in fear about the economical dollar but us. We constantly in fear. Now here comes Trump. Now we're in fear. All throughout the world, I've been hearing everybody scared and panicking and the whole 9 yards. But this is our country. This is ours. It don't belong to just no billionaires and millionaires. We got to realize, oh, what kind of stand are we really going to take? And he does what he does comfortably because he know we ain't going to do a damn thing.
You know, it goes back to, and I love my brother King, that integration stuff. When we had our own bus companies, we had our own
Yes.
sales, with our own stores at the corner where I used to live on 3rd and Converse in East St. Louis. And so we broke our butts to go get down and take our dollars to the white man. Dr. Claude Anderson, whom I've had, I don't know if you know Dr. Claude Anderson. He wrote the
I've
book
heard of him. Yeah.
Powernomics. He and I, we hooked up and did some things together. And he told me, he said, you know, you take a dollar in the black community, and when it gets through going around, only 2 cents is left in the black community. The rest, 98 cents goes out immediately, which is totally different than it is in other communities. So we're spending our dollars other places when we're about the 9th largest economy in the world. The 35 to 40 million blacks in this country, we're the 3rd largest, I mean, the 9th largest uh, um, economy.
Consumers.
So why don't we take that? We pissed off at Target. We should have had a Target built some time ago.
There you go.
Should have had a Snooks built some time ago.
Yeah.
We got enough money to spend within. Where's our entertainers and our football players?
There
Where
you go.
did they give back to the community? We should have our own in our communities, but we don't have
That's right.
and beg Home Depot for a 2x4. We have to go beg. The guy said we're gonna get rid of our DEI programs. McDonald's, Lowe's, Home Depot, McDonald's, all these people. So what? Where's our McDonald's?
Yeah.
We got the money
Yeah.
to do it. We should be investing in Africa. They're begging us to
Yeah.
invest in Africa. I had a brother come to me yesterday. We've been talking. He's from Nigeria. They've got land that's got uranium and lithium and all types of natural resources in the ground. Trying to get brothers to go and he's about to land. Hey man, where's some investors from America, black people, people who got the money, billionaires, millionaires. You got
Yeah.
what's his name? The guy that did the Super Bowl, Kendrick Lamar,
Yeah.
got 1 billion streams on that video, and he's talking about dissing Drake about Serena. The hell is that important about?
Mm, mm.
He's got
Yeah.
1 billion streams, but it still reduced itself to dissing somebody, another brother. You can't
Yeah.
have a disagreement. Look, Motown, Stax Record, and Philadelphia International, they were competitors. Okay, Motown, Temptation Supremes, Stax, Otis Redding, Carla Thomas, Philadelphia International, the OJs, Teddy Pendergrass, and the Blue Notes. Did anybody get killed?
Yeah.
They competed now. I want to outdo you with my girl and, respect and all that kind of stuff and hold on, I'm coming. But it was a
Right.
big competition to see who could outsing and outproduce the other guy with reference to record sales and things like that. But what are these young brothers doing? They are millionaires.
Some billionaires.
And they're out here killing each other at this song. What the hell is
Yeah.
this song?
Yeah.
You love your brother. I tell black kids all the time when I see them, I say, you see this gray hair man? I'm 73 years old. My time is limited on this planet. And you're going to walk by me and not speak to me? Do you know how the hell you got to go to this store?
Yeah.
You weren't even allowed in here a few years ago. Now you think you own it.
Mm-hmm.
You think you made yourself. Guess what? Somebody taught you how to use the bathroom, man.
Yeah.
You know, something else that I find strange, Lee, is, and you mentioned it, and so did Mikhail. And I've been taught that a racist is a person or entity that hinders or impedes the growth, the economic growth of another people. And when I look at St. Louis, and when Snooks start strategically closing their stores throughout the community, especially in the Black community, and then I find out that the grocery store that he closed on North Grand, that is predominantly Black consumers, grossed $800,000 a week. How can you close a vehicle as such when another Black entrepreneur opened his grocery store in that community? He got Black people because he thought his prices was higher than the Snooks that we had to drive an additional 2 miles to get to.
What about
I don't understand.
Ozzie Smith tried to open up a store way back in the day. And until we patronize that Black business, his volume might cause him to sell his items a little bit higher. But if we flood his store and we buy his goods, then he can get that price break just like the big guys do.
Yeah.
Yes.
We
But see, there too goes education.
education is important. We got to explain it.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think we've done a good job. I'm hard on the younger people, but as a whole, I think our generation, we failed to educate these kids because those so-called Jews, never again. I remember reading about Senator Claiborne told me that Nelson Mandela, he was clerking for this Jewish law firm, and they would send him off to get sandwiches and things for lunch. He had to go to a Jewish store to buy it. And when the Jewish store moved, and Nelson Mandela told me that the Jewish store moved, he was going to go to this Arab store. They said, no, you go find a Jewish store to buy. We're going to trade our dollars with our people.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We don't even love each other enough to do that. First, we got to start speaking to each other. How you doing, brother? In the 70s and 60s?
Yeah.
How you doing, brother? How you doing, sister? Glad to see you in wherever you are.
Yeah.
Glad to see you. Now, we look at each other like, that's my enemy. We got to teach that.
Yeah, I was, I used the Ferguson protests as an example because we protested out there for months, and it was all about, at least it was supposed to be about, reforming police abuse. And we've had out there at one given time, you might have 6 to 10 state legislatures who write the laws protesting. And when they go back to Jefferson City, not one of those legislatures introduced any bill for a reform. I didn't understand that. What was the purpose for you guys to be out there?
I understand it. It's called
Okay.
behavior modification. B.F. Skinner. Behavior modification. If a person performs the way you want to, you give them a positive reinforcement. If they give you what you don't want, you give them a negative reinforcement. Those legislators who didn't do that, vote their asses out of office.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we got to do. There's got to be retribution for not doing what you need to do. We hired you to go and support us. So we don't do that. Because, when Michelle Obama said, when they go low, you go high. At the University of Illinois, we was in practice. And every time I went to the basket, this big white guy would put me on my butt. Sorry, guy. He's beating the hell out of me. I said, okay, I got this now. I went back and I kicked him where the sun don't shine. And I said, sorry, guy. Guess what happened? No more of that. Even if
you're exactly right, because
put that something on
St. Louis is right where it was 10 years ago when it comes to our police department. The state is going to take over.
Take over.
Because none of those legislatures out there submitted anything
How
relating to
backwards is
police
that?
reform.
This, the governor even took your prosecuting attorney and appointed his own guy.
Yeah.
Now he wants the police department.
In the sheriff's department.
Man.
Yeah.
Man, we got so much stuff to do, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you guys think we need to do in terms of, I know we're talking here, and this is going to be our format. We're going to talk. We're going to have a segment called Full Court Press. I was the point guard. And we need to get some of the leaders here and you know, a full court press. Hey, you know what that is, don't you? That's pressure on the ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
Pressure on the ball at the free throw line, the half court, and down at the end of the goal. Pressure all over the place. Forcing the ball into the corner and overplaying the passing zone. Full court press. So we need these legislators. We need to put a full court press on these people, man. Not
Absolutely.
only but everywhere.
Yeah.
You got to quit being so forgiving that you can do anything to us. Look what happened when the white police female officer killed the brother in his apartment, eating ice cream on the couch with his underwear on. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. She killed him, lying and saying that she didn't know that was her apartment. And when she went before the courts, the black bailiff was combing her hair. The black judge gave her a Bible. And then the man's brother said, "Can I hug you?"
Yes.
Who else does that?
Yeah.
Nobody but us.
Yeah.
Nobody but us.
Joey Behar,
Nobody.
you said, "What is wrong with black people? You forgive people without them even asking."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can fight fire with fire. You know, eye for eye, tooth for a tooth. You hurt me, I'm hurting you back.
Yeah.
That's the only way I've been able to get bullies off of me when I was a little boy.
Same here.
So we got to recalibrate how we attack things, because Michelle said when they go low, you go high, but she didn't show up at the inaugural.
I was going to say that too. You know,
She
she
shouldn't have
showed
gone.
us
She shouldn't have gone, but you
She
didn't tell
shouldn't.
your people
that foolishness.
shorts. But when it came to your turn to take it up the shorts, what did you do? You said, "I ain't going to that doggone place, man. Forget him. I'm not shaking his hand." And you were
Yeah.
right with that, because he's an avowed racist and he hate you. And he talked about you and
Yeah.
your husband for years. You don't reward him for that. Last little story I'm gonna tell. So I'm walking with this group of people at IDOT. We walk at 9 o'clock in the morning and at 3:30 in the afternoon. And myself and this young lady, we were the oldest, maybe the 3 or 4 oldest people that worked at that facility. And so this guy, white guy, was standing at the door, and everybody that walked by, he spoke to him. And when we walked by, he didn't speak. And she spoke. I said, "Why did you do that?" "Well, I said, "You teach them how to treat you. You're teaching them to disrespect you. The hell with it. Don't speak to him. Why you gonna try to out-forgive somebody? Why we gotta be better than somebody and we're the ones that's oppressed?"
Mm.
Hey, man, we gotta fight back, man. And we gotta be, who's been the most successful? We've been the most religious people in America for all these years.
Yeah.
Guy went in there and killed 9 in the church in South Carolina.
Yes, sir.
They didn't even fight back.
Didn't even fight back.
Saving you got to save yourself. Like my brother and I used to say, "You hit me, I'm gonna put something on your ass."
That's right.
I'm fighting back, man. Guess what? Do you know that your body is designed by the Creator to fight back? Here's the example. It is.
I believe.
Even sperm fight. They're at warfare, trying to get to that egg. There's a war there.
Yeah.
Okay, check this out. In your back, toward the lower part of your back, sits 2 kidneys. On top of each one of your kidneys sits an adrenal gland. The Creator put it there. So what does adrenaline do for you? It does 2 things: flight or fight. Those are 2 defensive moves. So you are built to fight back, not to turn the other cheek. You are
That's
built
right.
naturally to fight back. That adrenaline hits you, you run or you do this. But we've been indoctrinated to say, just slap me and I turn by the other cheek. You might not take the turn. So those are my parting words.
Well, Lee, I want to end this with what's going on with us in St. Louis, because you're absolutely correct. We got to stop rewarding this bad Black political leadership. And so what we did full force court on the current mayor, and we supported the white girl. And the reason was the African American was dogging us out, man. Now, is the Caucasian gonna be any better? I hope so,
What
but
does
I expect more.
what does history tell you?
Go ahead.
What does history tell you?
I can holler racism quick and get more out of her than I can out that that black girl.
Sometimes, but I tell you, going back, like I used to train police dogs, reward and punishment, reward and punishment. I can take a dog, I don't beat him or anything. I reward and I punish. And the punish is just a choke chain.
Yeah,
But the reward is
yeah,
food when he does what he's supposed to do. And we
yeah.
have done that. We just got to do that, man. We got to quit hoping that somebody's going to ride in on a cloud with thorns, crowny thorns, and come and save us. It ain't happened
Right.
for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
But also I understand what you're saying, and we looked at that. We're not looking for the great white hope. We're going to help ourselves, and you know how we're going to do that? We're going to teach this white woman what the Black community needs, what the Black community wants, and we're going to help you get us there. And she's agreed to that. That's all we needed to hear. Once you agree with something or to something, it's up to us.
So
It's on us now, not the white woman. It's on us.
why would the black female have the same? You have the same conversation with Mary Jones.
She wouldn't talk
We
to
did.
us. She wouldn't. We went 3 times, man. She wouldn't talk. Black contractors are doing worse than they ever did before. Couldn't get a conversation. It was just like she's a pharaoh. But she counted on Black folks voting her back in because she Black and she could do them any kind of way. So
And Lee,
we
the
had
same issues that we're talking about here, we was trying to talk to her about. The same problems that we were going through was going to court. You had general contractors that were being indicted for falsifying minority participation. You had developers, such as the developer of the Target on South Grand, doing absolutely nothing for minorities, and the mayor did a commercial with these people, bragging about the store.
Wow, we got a long way to go, but
The same hope.
not to run. But
Yeah, the same hope that we put into this Black woman. The same hope that we put in this Black woman.
But I think what we do, I think, I don't care what you do. If you plan it, you're going to be better at it. And one thing I find about a lot of people in the grassroots, the administrative part of what they do, they're not good at that. What's your long-term, short-term goals, things of that nature, and deadlines and for accomplishing those bullets. I think something like just a little small blueprint. I want to work with you guys on that.
all right.
What's going to be the blueprint? And I'm doing the same thing here on my side of the river. What's the problems? What's the short and long term? What do we want? What's the short and long term goals? And how do we get there?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So look here. I think the contractors, we got a twofold thing now. We got capital access to capital. Now we actually got access to the actual jobs themselves because of the revocation of the affirmative action program. So we got to have a plan to fight that back. We got to have a plan.
Right.
And we need to
Right.
get together off camera and sit down. I got some things, I got some tools I'd like to introduce you guys. You may already be introduced to them, but I got some things I'd like to sit down with you guys. And let's have a, when I went and met with the governor of Illinois with a group about in 2019, and my senator told me this, and I believe in this. When you go meet with a political figure, and I just told a brother last week, when I walked in there to meet with the governor, I had a manifesto, and it laid out all the things I thought were wrong and a possible remedy. Now, Pritzker said I didn't give that to him, but I still got it on my computer now. So that's what we have to do. When we go meet with these people, this is my ask.
Mm-hmm.
The time frame for my ask. Give it to them, and you put it in writing. You can put it in the newspaper. You can put it on YouTube, any way you want to put it. But we want to let the world know that we did come to you and ask you for this, and it's in writing, and there's a time frame. I think that's
Yeah.
what, and I'm with you, brother, man. I love my people, man, to a fault. And I want to see us successful, man. I'm tired of us getting, been on the low end of the totem pole all the time. But from some of that is our fault because we do not organize, we don't educate, and there's no retribution. I'm not talking about physical retribution unless physical stuff come to you. And I think you like Malcolm X, by any means necessary, defend yourself. But we got to
Yeah.
let folks know if you screw around our community, you won't be in office next time.
You're gone.
Counting on politicians. I asked my wife the other day, I said, can you name me some legislation? I put the same question to you guys. Can you name me any legislation that benefited black people that came out of the legislative process? They say, the legislative body say, oh, guess what? They're doing that. Let's pass a bill to get that taken care of. Can anybody name me a bill or a law that was passed by the legislators sitting up in their office and saying, this is what we need to do?
I can't.
No.
Slavery because of the abolitionists, the civil rights movement because of civil disobedience and protests. That's what you have to do. They
Yeah.
don't do it for us. We don't actually. Government's not going to do it for us. We got to
Nope. You
do it.
got to make them do it.
That's what I'm. That's what I'm about.
Yeah.
I want to work with you brothers to get that
Before
done.
we go, Lee, Dave going to announce he's running for the school board. Go ahead, Dave.
Yes, I am a candidate for the St. Louis Board of Education. There's 3 seats that are up on April 8th. I am number 4 on the ballot. There is a being planned for Vashon High School. There's going to be a candidates forum. I think it's March 27th, but we'll make sure that it's well advertised. And the Parent Association is the one who's leading the sponsorship of that candidates forum. Our school district here in St. Louis is in trouble. It's a financially sound institution, but the academic achievement of our students is very poor. And that is one of the reasons that the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education has stated that they may be looking at stepping in and unaccrediting the school district in 2027. And so I thought I better try to get on this board and turn that lick around because we got a little less than 3 years to make a difference with our academic achievement. And I think it can be done with the right leaders.
I have my pet peeve with that, the underperforming school stuff. Um, First, it's in the community, deprived communities, and I'm a teacher myself. I'm a certified teacher in the state of Illinois. And I talked to a young girl just the other day, one of my little buddies, and she's 16. And I asked her, how does she like school? And she said that the teachers are rushing us because they got a mandate to have you here by this date and time, and they're just rushing through things, not actually teaching those kids. So I think there should be some reform in how they're teaching, and the pressure they put on these teachers to perform and have kids at a certain level. These kids are very intelligent, but how do you teach them?
Mm-hmm.
Teaching method, like what did Teddy say? Teach them a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. So I think
Mm-hmm.
the way they're teaching kids is antiquated. And we need to look at the method of teaching, and we need to take that pressure off that teacher. Teach that kid algebra. Well, do they really need algebra? Were you going to perform algebra after school? I'm just saying all these things that come into play with me. So yeah, but anything I could do to help, man. I know your attitude. I know your philosophy. I'm willing to help.
Thank you.
All right, Lee.
That we're gonna,
Let's make it soon. We meet again.
sir. And I enjoy you, brothers, and black men talking, and I appreciate you guys. So until then,
Appreciate you.
take care.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.